Hello, everyone. As always, a pleasure to see you here today. We have more than 130 participants already, so we'll just wait for a few more minutes for everybody to join. Yes, hello, Gary. Good to see you too. So almost 250 people, a number of familiar names. Yes, likewise, Gary. Yes, hello, Dinesh. Happy Diwali to you as well. Hello, Remy. Hello, Paul. Hello, William. Hello, Edward. Hello, everyone. All kinds of countries, all kinds of regions. Hello, Ekaterina. Hello, Marta. Hello, Mitchell. Hello, Chingiz. Hello, Abraham. Okay, so I suppose we can start now. Today, we are pleased to welcome you to our webinar about open source intelligence. We are going to be focusing on a number of cases. Most of them are applicable to the work of private investigators, but we're not going to focus specifically on the sources and the methods, the necessary calls to pull data from those sources, rather than on methods and the tasks at hand. So, just to give a brief introduction about us, we are Social Links. The company was founded in 2015. At this moment, we have more than 80 employees. Our headquarters are on the territory of the United States. We also have a European Union branch in the Netherlands with an R&D center in Riga, Latvia. We are a global Osint solutions developer, and as you can see here, we have good reviews and ratings on sources such as Gartner Peer Insights and a number of industrial awards. What we do is that we create products that further assemble massive volumes of data from open sources, which includes social media, messengers, cryptocurrency blockchains, and what is commonly known as the dark web, to analyze and visualize a holistic picture for streamlining data-driven investigations. The use cases that we're going to be covering, the ones to which those examples will be applicable, are social media investigations and SOCMENT in general, background checks, digital evidence collection, a bit of asset tracing and due diligence, and we're going to finish with the reporting part. So now we are going towards the functional demonstration. Most of those use cases will be based on a product-based methodology of digital footprint visualization. So let's imagine that we have an individual. The types of data that we have are the search engine output, which can tell us about their personal views, social sets, their CV, notable mentions on forums, in newspapers, and so on, and the general sentiments toward an individual or an organization. The next is their social media footprint, where we can work with all of the sources listed here as entities, and the enrichment of individual digital identifiers, which can, depending from case to case and from industry to industry, be phone numbers, usernames, physical addresses, IP addresses, emails, different kinds of identification documents, and imagery. We will start from an example with an individual. So let's imagine that we have an email address as an input. For those of you that are not familiar with UIs such as this one, the basic principles are nodes and edges, or as they are called here, entities and links. So now we're going to select the queries, also known as transforms within Maltego, to look for social media presence connected to this email. What we see so far are the user accounts within LinkedIn, which also contains a face and a full name in addition to the one that we saw from the email. Accounts under the same name within Gravatar and Skype. What seems to be a corporate Flickr account, and the fact that accounts existing within Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. And also number of identifiers from GEDmatch, which is a DNA data bank available within our solution as well. So now we will try to find the presence of this individual within other social media platforms using their name and photograph, and also try to work with the digital identifiers in the gray box here. We also get a Twitter handle. From which we can further extract additional data about the Twitter account. We see that the same location is stated within Skype and LinkedIn, which is Del Mar, California, United States. We also see a phone mask and the same personal website that, well, or a commercial website rather, that we got from the email. And we see that the result of gathering details using census from the IP address points us to San Diego, United States. We also have a number of social links identity search engine entities here from which we will make further extraction. And yes, I'll just note in advance that I'm sure there will be a large number of questions during the course of the webinar. We will be answering those within the Q&A session after we have went through all of the sample files here. So this is the data that we get so far about the individual. We can also run a search based on their name, which is not extremely common in this case. So it's quite possible that we won't receive many false positives. And this gives us just one account. And now we will extract some details from this account to see if it matches the difference and biography pieces that we see within the social media graph already. And this also gives us the location of Santa Cruz, California, the same one that we got here, well, a similar one a few minutes ago. And also the URL to that same work website. So far, what we see is an overall representation of the subject's social media footprint and online presence in general. Now, depending on what interests us the most, we can deepen each of those directions within the graph. For instance, create a user's social graph based on their content that we can see here. So we will do that with Facebook. The same kind of logic is applicable to LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all of the other social media platforms available within our solution. So after we have done some work correctly with the data at hand, may give us some insights into the subject's social connections, who they interact with online, how does this reflect their interaction within real life, who are the most important people within the chosen network, the one with which they interact with the most, and what is the depth and the specifics of their connections. So now we can go even deeper and take the comments under those content pieces that we have within the graph. And from the comments, also fetch the offers, reactions, and replies to them. Again, the same kind of thing can be done with the other accounts of the user at hand. And now we can apply a visualization method that is present within Maltigo, but also within most of in the industry standard graph visualization tools. So here, the accounts that are larger within this network are those that interact with the input account more than the other people within it. So we can see at least several family members here. Some of those might also be extended family. Now, we can try to find a correlation with this within the GetMatch DNA databank as well. And we can see some of the names and some of the initial letters of the people that may be present within the Facebook network as well. And while this is a real case, this is at this moment the first precedent of us having a source such as this. Now, another common task is to prove or disprove the fact of a connection existing between several individuals or several groups of individuals. Here we have an example with 3 people, their Facebook accounts, and 3 Facebook mutual friends entities here, from which we can start searching for the mutual comments, friends, groups, likes, and pages liked that those users have between each other. So here we see at least several groups that seem to be dedicated to GNU and the free software community, more specifically within Brazil. And then maybe we want to see who are the people between those three as well. And other common points such as potentially locations, universities, and projects. As well as running searches using facial recognition for the presence of those users within other platforms. This is something that can help us in looking for second and third degree connections between individuals and groups. Now, while those transforms are still running, I'll answer just a few of some of the questions that we have here. So there is a question about whether there are any kinds of career opportunities for freshers in the field of open source intelligence, and can you please share? So thank you for the question. We actually have a special page on our website dedicated to jobs and career opportunities currently available within the Osint field and in general within the field of investigations and intelligence. So there might be quite a few interesting positions there. You may want to check it out. Will the replay be sent to you? It will be available on YouTube after the webinar. Yes, we are currently trying the facial recognition function. Are there any open source alternatives to Maltego you would recommend? Well, I'd say that Maltego is an industrial standard, and the open source and freely available softwares can be good for analyzing data, but I don't think they would be the same in terms of ways of gathering data, the data providers, and how this is made easier and faster for the user. But there is also a freely available Maltego Community Edition as well. So now we will go into another example, which may be a bit specific in the context of open source intelligence for private investigators, but it may be something that might come up more in the future within the industry with as the years go by. So a cryptocurrency address can also be a kind of an input. So here we have a name initially, and the sources from which we get data available here about this individual are Sanctions Explorer and OCCRP. And also we know about this Bitcoin address, so we can run a search for its mentions and a search for input and output addresses to create a transactional graph. And we see also that the individual is currently under active sanctions by the Office of Core and Assets Control of the United States government. And as one of the document states within OCCRP Aleph is a national of Tajikistan. And here we see the social media output for this graph from Bitcoin Who's Who and seemingly from Telegram. Now, a dark web use case might be somewhat more rare, but we do have an example here because in the modern context, an investigation can span multiple jurisdictions and multiple layers of information. An input in our case can be not just a username, but here we will go through an example made from that. So here we see a vendor on a source called the Point Market, specializing seemingly in recreational drugs that are, according to the data that we see within the property fields of those objects, the product cards, are shipped to the United States. One of the other objects that we extract from the account here is a PGP open key, from which it is in some instances possible to extract an email address, which is in this instance a Gmail. And we can see that there is a review connected to it, to a bar in Cameroon, and that there are accounts within Gravatar, LinkedIn, and Skype, the ones that we can see, and also a number of other accounts within Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, where we can see just the fact of their existence. Now, one of the LinkedIn posts of the individual, as we can see in the properties here, is dedicated to promoting the sale of marijuana on a surface web source. We can see a corporate account of a company that has liked it, which seems to be based in Vancouver, British Columbia. But further, and this uses the Maltego functionality more than ours, we go to the domain information from this URL. And what we find is a company named Khalifa Ads and an individual named Tabin Difan from within Whois, which matches the data that we can see within the social media footprint here. This is just a simple example based on sample data, but at the same time real data, as are all the other examples within this webinar, of using the widest range of sources and methods available for them for an all-round assessment of an individual's online presence. Now we'll go through some of the other questions. Do you need to have a Facebook account to run this? No, you don't need to have any kind of social media accounts, any kind of sock puppets on your own. Does this software work well in Canada, or would it have limited functions? This software does work in any kind of jurisdictions, and there isn't any kind of language limitation if that's something that you want to ask as well. The result of the search will depend mostly on whether the relevant data is present on the source that you're querying. So this is what we went through today, gathering data about the digital footprint of an individual using unconventional sources such as DNA data banks or maybe corporate registries, creating a content-based social graph of a social media platform user and deepening the insights possible with the help of going into the comments and replies within the content-based graph, looking for second and third degree connections between individuals within Facebook, but what is also applicable to other platforms as well. And here we might also want to add a bit. One of the other unconventional sources that may come up within a search that is present here is GitHub. And an extra to what we can do to get to know additional things about an individual is that we can go into the details about the projects that they have available within the publicly available sources. So as this is a software developer and data journalists from Brazil, we can see that many of the projects will be focused on Python. And we can perhaps see some kind of patterns that may lead us to the organizations that the user may collaborate with. And also here, an example of doing surface web searches related to cryptocurrency addresses and correlating that data with that we get from sources such as OCCRP and Sanctions Explorer. And also starting from a dark web drug vendor's username and going into their de-anonymization through the social media footprint as well. So now we will launch a brief poll and we will spend some time to dedicate it to answering questions. So yes, the questions within the poll. What do you think of this webinar? The first one. Are you planning to implement Osint solutions at your organization? Would you be interested in gaining a more in-depth understanding of open source intelligence? And would you like to have a demo of a cell professional to see how it can help you in your work? Also, just another announcement that we would like to make is that we are soon going to host another event, a joint one with a vendor called Darkal on countering illegal trade on dark web marketplaces. We will be outlining the black market landscape of the dark web and showcasing a range of methods for fighting illicit trade. Darkal is a very interesting solution. They have lots of quite valuable data sets available. No, Maltego Pro is not free globally. The transforms that are offered by SL Pro, the strongest side that we currently have is SOCMINT, but we also have corporate registries, dark web, cryptocurrency, and integrations with other data providers more focused on network objects such as Census, Shodan, WhoisXML, and Zoomai. Assuming this content, or at least the posts, will only be visible to accounts that are set to public view. Yes, I'd say that if I understood your question correctly, we are limited in working with publicly accessible accounts. However, that doesn't mean that we can't get data about an account if it's closed, because it might be open on other platforms. How much does the software cost? So you can shoot us an email at hello@sociallinks.io, and if you would be interested in further acquiring the software that was showcased today, then we'll be glad to have a conversation with you. The same if you would like to discuss a different kind of collaboration with us. Can it also track mobile numbers and SIM usage? Tracking as in geofencing and lawful interception, no. Yes, and thank you very much for coming today, Chingiz. It is possible to enrich data about phone numbers with the help of this solution. I can show a brief example now with a phone number. What's the difference in similarities between community and pro editions of Maltego? Well, the main difference would be that the most interesting kind of things are only available within the commercial package. And also there would be a difference in the available daily transforms to use and the transform output. So here we have a phone, and we can try the same way as with the email address to try to attribute some digital presence to it. Yes, Gary, thank you very much for that answer. It is indeed quite effective for those kinds of operations. When the target is someone who uses unknown aliases for social media, but we do have his full name, what is the best approach to using social links? We can cover that topic in a few minutes as well. So here we have some gray entities, the output from SLISC searches, and we also see that there are accounts connected to the phone within Facebook and Twitter. What we see additionally is a name, Mark DeCarlo, and also a certain Colleen DeCarlo, and a company that we see within the email and within the Colleen DeCarlo string, Interconks Incorporated. We also see some VPN providers and a postcode. Now, it's also possible to automate the repetitive kinds of searches, the repetitive kinds of data gathering scenarios with the help of custom scripts within Maltego. Those are called machines, and we have an example here of such a machine for phone numbers. It just follows specific, but actually quite a simple logic. And for email addresses, we have similar ones available for getting the content graph within a certain social media platform, and also to get the dark web activity based on a user alias. Does the Facebook account has to be public to get all this information, or can it get info from the public accounts as well? Of course, if an account is public, then we will get more data. As I mentioned previously, it doesn't mean if it's not public that we can't get anything, because usually there's at least a name or a username. In many instances, there is some kind of image, which is sometimes a photograph, and that is something that makes the whole process easier for us. So now we see that the script has extracted some additional data about the individual that includes, among other things, IP addresses and Skype accounts, and also a phone number mask with the same 2 digits that we see in the input phone. Now it's starting to make an extraction from the data gathered. What are the ways to track Telegram sources? To answer that question, keyword searches and alias-based searches are possible within Telegram. We can run an example of doing that now in a few minutes. We do have a separate extension that we provide for law enforcement and government organizations that can improve the workflow with Telegram because it relies on a large volume of historical data, but there are some things that we can find using our own proprietary sources as well. So this is what we find from those keywords. But again, the channel or the group has to be public in order for us to see this data returned to the graph. Are we using paid APIs for these searches? That depends on the source and on what kind of data we want. If you want to discuss this in more detail in the context of integrating our solutions into your workflow, then by all means, we'll be very happy to see you at a personal demo. Can we retrieve all of the comments of the users from social media? So as you can see here, we're extracting the messages from within Telegram groups and channels. And while it's not exactly a social media platform, it does have an element of that. And the same kind of thing, even deeper, can be done with the other more conventional sources, such as what we've shown here within Facebook. And the same kind of thing, I repeat, can be done within LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or with those Soviet social media platforms, or Discord or Steam as well. Can it search for videos? It can search for all kinds of content. It all depends on the platform and on the methods available. But yes, it can search, of course, for videos within Facebook and within Instagram. So we can show an example of searching for videos within Instagram and maybe other sources from hashtag. While we have Maltigo here, we can run a search from that and maybe another one. I am a student looking to learn more about open source intelligence. Can I ask you guys a list of questions over email? Yes, sure, by all means, go ahead. Can we gather all of the pictures of users from social media? Well, we have some pictures here within the Instagram posts. We can see what users those are connected to and authored by. How Maltigo and open source intelligence contributes in digital forensics intelligence gathering. I'm not a digital forensics professional, although, of course, we do sometimes talk with people from that field as well. But the first thing that comes to mind is that Osint currently is somewhat complementary to all of the other disciplines of working with data and all of the other disciplines that are used in investigations and intelligence. So, for instance, a digital forensic analyst, as a result of his work, may get a number of outputs, a number of identifiers that it will be further necessary to enrich, such as emails, names, phone numbers, and so on. That is exactly what Social Links Pro and Maltigo as well, and open source intelligence in general can be valuable for. So this is an example of what we found from an email and a phone from which we, prior to that, found the email. And thank you, Roberto, as well. Wow, a very interesting question by Chingiz. In the movie Dark Knight Rises, there was a software clear list which removes all the information in digital footprint for a particular person, usually criminals, corrupted officials, etc. Is it real for now? Well, yeah, that's actually quite curious. I have heard about some kinds of software that are used within that process, and it is also a service that some people within the market, well, on the customer side, are looking for. I'd say that the tools for gathering data can be used for similar things within the scope of digital risk protection and individual information reputation monitoring. Is there an extension available also for chain analysis and TRM labs or elliptic, or we can use social links only with Maltigo? You can use social links with Maltigo and with I2 Analyst Notebook. I would give an overview of how it can be used within I2. It is very interesting as well, but we only have 15 minutes left for the event and we still have a lot of questions. It's like people on steroids. People can be quite efficient within North America, and we also have an integration with people, but a separate API key from their side is needed to conduct searches within their data sets. Is our tool able to see subjects on Facebook and their friends when their profile is set to private or even locked? Well, one of the ways how we could do that, if we assumed that those 3 individuals bookmarked green here had closed profiles, even in that case, we could be able to see the mutual pages and groups liked, as we did exactly that here, and their interactions within other platforms. So for instance, we can see that there are Twitter accounts owned by at least 2 of those people, and they seem to be interested in the same kind of stuff professionally. So it's quite likely that we would find a connection if there was one between them within Twitter, and then possibly correlate that with a full picture. What are the effective tools or strategies for online investigations, if I may, from Philippines? Well, while all those industrial grade tools can remove the heavy lifting part and sometimes make the process more comfortable, and in most cases make it faster and more efficient, this still isn't any kind of magic one-button solution. So it still requires some expertise, and depending on the level of a case's complication, a different level of expertise from the analyst. Yes, I totally agree. And Gary, what you said just now about human intelligence, I say that yes, this is something quite frequently used in conjunction by professionals within the field. But a similar kind of thing can be said about other intelligence gathering disciplines as well. And actually, many of those rely on open source intelligence to a considerable degree. Well, for instance, financial investigations can include working with cryptocurrency data, which is by its definition a part of open source intelligence. Yes, the presentation and the recording will be available on our YouTube channel, as are the recordings for the previous webinars, and we highly recommend you watch those because, well, today we're hosting the webinar by ourselves, but we usually invite some kind of subject matter expert from the field to talk about something specific, such as extremism research or anti-money laundering investigations, as we did recently. Do name and face searches require the same image on each network? And how effective is the facial recognition? So we can try with one of the samples that we had within our previous webinar. They don't exactly require the same image, but it is, of course, better if they are at least somewhat similar. And to answer your question about the level of efficiency of our facial recognition, which is proprietary, well, here we can see that this is the same photo, just different properties of the image itself. And we're given a probability rate of 92% here and 51% here. And this does seem to be less similar and likely a false positive, so we will delete it off the graph. And here it is 77%. So if we want to be sure, then we can compare the data that we get from this secondary output with that we've gotten previously. So we can see Brainerd Group Incorporated and Brainerd Group, Washington District of Columbia and Arlington. Can you answer the poll questions next week? Well, by all means. Yes, Maltigo does work with BK and NoK. We can showcase that now as well. And again, the logic of working with them is not very far, by all means, from the ones that we've seen previously with the other social media. So now we have VK accounts containing the name of the individual that has founded VK initially. So most likely there will be quite a bit of false positives. And then further from those, I'm not entirely sure that there will be some output within OK, but we can try a facial recognition based search again. And further from OK, we can get the friends and details related to the user. Geotags monitoring and gathering. That example would be especially interesting within I2 because there is a capability to work with maps there. But you can run searches from coordinates related to certain locations. So for instance, if we take this location, Arlington, or any other one, we can convert that to a GPS coordinate entity. And that in turn to a circular area entity where we can set the radius. Well, let's make it perhaps at least 500 meters. And then look for social media content within that radius. How is that version different from the one that comes pre-installed with CSI Linux VM? Well, while not being deeply familiar with CSI Linux VM, most likely it's the same as in Kali Linux. So just the community edition of Maltego available within the installation. How about data from robot.txt enabled sites? That's something where the integrations with census and the like may be useful. No, Social Links and Maltego are not the same company, although we do have a long-lasting partnership with them. Yes, we do provide a reporting feature. And that's something that we can try to show right now. And that'll take just about a minute. What is next going to come from social links? Well, one of the most recent developments you will be able to see on our next webinar that I've mentioned before, that will be a collaboration with Dark Owl. As is shown here. How will you protect yourself from this software? Well, depending on what it is that you're doing, I guess. Do we need Maltego in order to utilize social links, or can social links be a standalone program? At this moment, what you may need to use is either Maltego, I2 Analyst Notebook with access to I2 Analyze, or the social links API. And our report is ready. And this is how it would look at the end. So it would make sense, of course, to leave just the most important data, the most important points, the most important pieces within the end report, because, well, within Maltego, it is machine generated, and the same within I2 as well. Also, I2 does imply the capability to work with iBase, which may make the collaboration and reporting part somewhat easier. Are we providing search or collection options for TikTok? Yes, we most certainly are. And I think we have some TikTok content on one of those graphs here. So we have the TikTok posts. From each of those, we can get the author and the music used. And from the users, the posts and the posts liked by them. So yes, I think that would be all for today. And just to briefly describe the agenda for the next event, we do listen to the industry and to our customers and their use cases and experience. And we conduct our own product research and industry research. And we are going to base our content somewhat within the next event on reports such as this one about cyber-enabled financial crimes in the era of virtual asset and darknet service providers by the Interpol IGCI. And the research done within the work of other respected vendors, such as the crypto crime reports and other ones.
Yes, let's just ask a few more questions if somebody has them left, and then we will be finishing the event for today. Is this a certificate for this? Well, not that I know of, maybe someday in the future. And thank you, Mike, as well, for coming to the event, and Gaurav, thank you. Maltego has their own training courses. We do offer onboardings and training when we start to work with you as a customer, obviously. Yes, Avery, thank you, and have a good day as well. Mutual, Gary, quite mutual. Yes, so I really hope that this has been helpful to you, and I wish everyone a great Friday and a great weekend, and we will see you at our next events. Thank you very much. It was my utmost pleasure to host this and see you all today.